Hey, what's up guys? In this video, I'm gonna share with you something that I've never done before. Based on the title and based on my experience, it's something I've never done before. So I wanna share with you how, basically a step-by-step, live walkthrough and maybe come along with me challenge on a rebranding. I've done this numerous times, but not with a change of audience. So I'll share a little bit of that in detail, but based on the title, basically what you're seeing here on the screen is my old website. It's a brand I created about, I think 10 years ago now, called Fearless Millionaire. This brand has evolved numerous times. If I go back in history, it'd be great if I could show some photos. If I go back in history, my friend and I, Dave Seymour, came out with this brand called Fearless Life Solution. Actually, let me rewind. Whoa. See, this is how much things have changed. If I go back even more, we came out with a brand called Fearless Living. So we started this brand called Fearless Living. We launched it with a book and a course and a coaching program. And Dave Seymour was he was the guy. He was the spokesman. He was the speaker, the trainer. He's the guy in the spotlight. And Dave has a very cool background. Like, he's been on A&E Flipping Boston. He's been on another show. I forgot the name of it. Another TV show. He's been on Amazon. You can catch that show on Amazon Prime and a few other networks, I'm sure, maybe the A&E channel and stuff like that. And then, when we launched that brand called Fearless Living, we started like getting a lot of attention. And then all of a sudden I get a letter in the mail and it says it's a cease and desist letter. And basically from an author who wrote the book called Fearless Living, and asked us to cease and desist. After a little bit of a phone call and negotiation, they said they didn't like the offer. So we had to change the name. But it was actually at that same time we decided to, it was at that time Departure Films and A&E was looking into what we had going on. Dave really took the initiative to get out there and make this bigger than what it was. And he did. He took the deal. And it was actually a meeting we had to have and say, Nate, are you on board? Do you want to come with me on this journey? And unfortunately, if I did, I'd have to be exclusive and I'd have to sign contracts that I didn't want to sign. And I didn't want to go in that direction and give up my life to that show. I didn't want to be a part. I'm in, I think, 2 episodes of the show in the background, like maybe as an extra, an unpaid extra. But I didn't want to be in that area, the local area. I didn't want to be involved that way. And I wanted to continue building my consulting company and doing what I was doing, which was launching authors, speakers, and trainers like my buddy Dave. And that's what we had built. So we had this crossroad and we went our separate ways. No hard feelings. We're still good friends. And he went on to do the show and I went on to nothing. Actually, it was in that moment that I was at a crossroads. I had a brand name, Fearless Living, that I had to take down and stop using. And I was stuck. I didn't know what to do. I actually took a few months off. I traveled a little bit and I said, okay, I'm going to get back into it and rebrand and redo this and change it up a little bit. So we did some rebranding and we did a new launch called Fearless Life Solutions. And under this brand, we kind of gathered the same audience. The audience didn't change. We were still working with real estate investors. We were working with real estate investors who wanted to make their first offer, understand how to close a deal, how to talk to realtors, how to talk to sellers, how to sign a contract, and all those details. And we did the same thing under Fearless Life Solutions. And we launched that brand. We helped a bunch of people close their first deal and achieve all those things. Then there was another time, a turning point in that. It was actually for 2 years we built that brand. And there was another turning point in my life where we were making some adjustments and changes. And I just felt like the brand was so diverse that we were doing all these different things. We had 5 areas that we were helping people on, and we were doing a bunch. It was too much at one time, actually. And so that lasted for 2 years. And then I was stuck. I didn't know what to do. And I was in a mastermind at that time, and during that mastermind, I had some good friends and colleagues, and some of them you may know, but one of them was he was one of the leaders in the group. His name is Ryan Dice, and Ryan Dice is actually the founder of digitalmarketer.com, and he's done a bunch of other things, by the way. He's a really great guy. I love his charity work. And I remember we were in this circle of maybe like 25 people, something like that, and we're at one of our meetups. And so we go around the room And in a mastermind, you share like, what are your biggest challenges? What are your biggest hurdles? What is it that's you're stuck on? And so when it came to me, it was like, I basically shared the same story, which most of these guys already knew. They knew that, Dave was my front runner before, my main guy, my spokesperson. And then he launched and went on TV. That was a great exit. It was really good. And then I went into Fearless Life Solutions, and there was another pivot, and I was really stuck. And this is where I was just mentally stuck. And I'll never forget when Ryan said, Nate, what do you want to help people do? And I said, well, I want to help people create clarity, confidence, and cash flow. And I want people to become fearless. I want people to overcome those fears. And he said, okay, we obviously know you got that going on. It's been in your messaging and your branding twice already. And he said, well, what do they typically read? What are they reading? What do they want? What are they searching for? And I said, well, they want to be a millionaire. They want to be wealthy. And that may be most of the time crossing their first million. Typically that's always been my audience and people who I've helped. Ironically, I've helped two types of people. Let me just dive in a little bit. If you're pay close attention here, because I'm just going to get a little down to the nucleus. My passion has ever since, when I walked across fire and I was at a Tony Robbins event and I walked across fire and I said, man, I want to create this feeling, this moment for other people in a unique way. Now, I didn't go on and creating my own fire walks, but I started helping people get what they want. And my life was blessed in return. And I built a huge business out of that. And down the road, as I started to continue to build different businesses, what was happening was I was helping people who were just getting started, helping them have their breakthroughs, helping them gain clarity, build their confidence, and make money. So that was working. And at the same time, because of my expertise and my skills, I had these experts, these coaches, these gurus and authorities, these big influencers who had large audiences calling me and saying, Nate, can you help me come and do this part and fix this part of my company and fix that part of my company? So at the same time, I was also working with the same experts. And a lot of them, I used to sit in their seats at their seminars. I used to be their students, and they were calling me. So I was helping two different people. And one thing I found really unique is I'll never forget the time I was sitting with one of my clients in his office. He flew me out to Arizona. And at the time I was living in Charlotte, flew me out to Arizona. And he basically said, and ironically, we just got out of a multi-million-dollar launch. And we were sitting in his office and we're going on the whiteboard and going over decisions that we're making and what's the future. And I'll never forget, I said, you need to go to another level. You need to take this to another level. And that is, you need to start offering coaching so that you can help the people who are falling behind, the people who are not just getting it. They just need some additional hand-holding. You need to go deeper. And his response was, do you think my clients would accept that? Do you think they would, enroll in coaching? And I could hear all the doubt and negativity. And then he started sharing with me all his negatives and disbelief. And I won't go into those right now, but I was amazed that no matter where someone is in their life and in their business or how much money they have, everyone faces the same things. These moments of doubt, these moments of fear, these disbelief. And after sitting with him and going over this plan and action and rebuilding his confidence, he took action, and heck, he built a really big business and sold a bunch more coaching. I'm talking millions and millions, which is fantastic. And I'm happy for him. And he's done some great work in the world and transforming other people's lives. And so one of the things I found was that it was a common trait in so many people, whether you're just getting started or you're already this big influencer selling millions and making millions of dollars and transforming people's lives. I was still found that was a gap. So going back to the mastermind and what Ryan was telling me is like, you want to help people, make more money and become millionaires. Well, there you go. Take the word fearless, take the word millionaire, and just slam them together. And there you go. You're a fearless millionaire. And so I took Ryan's advice. At that time in my life, Ryan was that voice that I needed to hear. And I went with it because I believe that when you have someone in your life who speaks into your life and cares about you and supports your goals and your dreams, those moments of advice just make an impact. So I ran with it. And still to this day, over 10 years, we're still on the path and we still have Fearless Millionaire. And now in that brand, I'll just go a little bit down to success stories. I've helped thousands of people, real estate investors specifically, help them gain clarity, confidence, and cash flow. And on this very basic website, we basically put together maybe some of the companies that we've worked with, some people that we've really helped. And by the way, I've helped lots and lots of people, but there's some people on here that are really specific. Okay. These are very specific people that not only I have helped, but I've had more close contact with. Because sometimes when you're dealing with hundreds and thousands of people, maybe you're not as close. Maybe people don't want to get as close to you. Maybe some people don't reach out. Maybe some people are not as intimate. Some people, you just don't have that bond, maybe that connection. But then over the years, over the connections and the people I've helped, it was really cool to connect with more and more people and have a closer relationship. So here are some of the people that I was really to get closer to and build a closer relationship with and help impact their lives in a small fraction. To them, they would say it was huge and made all the difference, and which is great. And I really appreciate that. And I really value being a part of their lives and I'm honored to help make an impact on their life. Here's an image of my buddy Dave, as you can see, as he was speaking at that audience there. So we move forward. We're 10 years into again, the newer brand per se, Fearless Millionaire, helping real estate investors of different types, by the way, from people who are getting started off in land and single family houses, short-term rentals, long-term rentals, commercial, REOs, lease options, all kinds of styles. And that's basically been my experience. I've been doing that for 20 years, basically, in the real estate investing world. And I've helped thousands of people do this. And the reality is, on the other side of me was helping out some of these big guys, like some of these gurus that you might have seen. Let me just scroll down here. I have a few of them here. Larry Goins being one of them, good friend, real estate trainer. Some guys, there's Charlie, there's Ed Diamond, and then Jason Kennedy as another one. And I'm just looking for a few other real estate guys. Dean Graziosi, very well known on TV and more closely now with Tony Robbins in a different way, not real estate, but in a different way for mindset. Mike Searles, Sue Nelson, Jack Bosch, Robert Kiyosaki. I could go on. And of course, some of those brands are here at the top of the page. Right, so we got Zach Childress, Gavin Michaels, Bejal, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? So there's David Lindahl. I mean, gosh, there's so many. I could go on. And I've worked with a lot of different organizations. And so anyway, my point of sharing this with you is there was another side that I was helping. There was like two sides. I had the startup investor and then I had the expert investor. And the expert investor, I was always working with them on the education side of the business. I was working with them on working on books, courses, coaching, and building that, whether we're structuring it, naming it, pricing it, how to sell more, how to create funnels, all that stuff, and putting that whole piece together because I knew it was such a barrier for a lot of them. And some of them were really good at certain things, but other of them needed some fixing. They needed like little tweaks along the way, little adjustments to make things better and grow in sales. And let me tell you, I've never run one ad. I've never run an email marketing campaign. I've never run any type of advertising for that business. It was all referral based. People would call me based on the experience that I would deliver to the marketplace because what I do works. So that gets you more and more clients and more results. So that's how I worked. I worked on basically a phone call basis and business was always knocking on my door. And so recently, I don't know if you've seen this video yet, but you can check it out maybe in one of the playlists, I did a video where I said, leaving the industry. And I took 2 years out. It was a very hard decision for me because it was like 20 years in the real estate investing space. It was 20 years of teaching real estate and how to do deals. I think of Donald, for example. There's a guy named Donald who saw one of my videos online. And it was a video where I said, I'm on an island and actually it was the island right here, one of the islands of the Azores. And I was just like, hey, you can fire your boss. You can stop, working for somebody else. You can quit what you're doing. You can live anywhere. If you want to live in Europe, if you want to live in China, wherever you want to live, you can do it through real estate investing. He saw that video. We jumped on a call. He booked an appointment, got on a call, and he believed in my message and got started, enrolled into coaching and did it. And now lives in Poland and got married, has a kid, and living his life and investing virtually, which is what the message was. And he went through that process of gaining clarity, building confidence, and earning cash flow. And so that him and amongst many other people have taken those same steps. And then I did that for, like I said, a number of years. And I said, you know what? I need a break. I was like, I did so many different types of programs. I did courses. I did big coaching programs like one-on-one, right? One-on-one programs where I would fly to people's areas, like their local market. I'd fly to maybe their local city and I'd be with them for like 3 to 5 days. And then I've had people fly to me in Uganda. I've had people fly to me in Portugal and even in the US, and they'd come visit me at my office or my home or whatever. And also I've done small groups, right? I've run small, like really focused groups, like 10 people and 30 people or 100 people, like one to many. And then I've also done masterminds, which actually was probably one of my most favorite. It was my most recent. And this is where I want to kind of summarize this video. Most recently, I was running a mastermind with my good buddy, Mike, and we ran that mastermind for 2 years. We called it Fearless Mastermind. And that mastermind was probably my favorite part in so many years. In the past 20 years, it was so cool because one, we got to get to a unique location. We were in a mansion and we would hang out and share thoughts and ideas and all that good stuff. And it was just transformational. Every time I visited, I was one of the hosts, but for me, it left such an impact because I know the power of masterminds is so powerful. And so we ran this mastermind and there was just some, during that time during those 2 years, we absolutely loved it. But me on my side, from a personal standpoint, I was getting burnt out in another area of my life. And I just needed to take a step back. I was just like, okay, wait, Nate, hold on. You need a break. And I did. I just stepped away from the industry. I called my buddy Mike and I said, hey man, I really need to be honest with you. I need to take a step back. And he agreed. He also kind of felt like we were on the same path at that time. And so we wrote the letter and just told our members, we wanted to fulfill our duties and just say, hey, listen, this is not a goodbye, but this is a see you later. So we had to do that. And it took 2 years out. And I worked with 2 other clients in 2 totally different industries just to get my mind like away. And of course I did a bunch of traveling along the way too. You guys know that. I always get that in there. And during those 2 years, so much I discovered, and I'm not going to cover so much on the personal side right now, but maybe in future videos I'll do that. But one of the things I really needed was to recalibrate and to realign with who the audience was for Fearless Millionaire. Where are we going? And I had some good mentors and friends say, hey, what's up? What's up next? Nate, where are you? We miss you. Right? And that was great. And I appreciate all those messages and those comments and the emails and the messages. I really appreciate all of them. But I wanted to come back with a renewed vigor, new energy, and a different audience. And so in summary, if you're interested, you can follow along. Maybe if you know me from real estate investing, this may not be for you, or maybe this is. I truly believe that there's a story or a book inside every one of you. And I've had the pleasure of being a part of many book launches in my career. I truly believe that your story is more valuable now than ever before. I believe your story is what can transform and impact people's lives. And I'm not talking about, you don't have to get on stage and talk to millions of people around the world. Hey, if that's you, I know that world too. I've been there. But also if you're the type who, maybe just has a story you want to share with your family. Maybe it's a legacy you want to leave with your family. And something I've been thinking about recently personally with my own kids. What story am I going to leave with my kids? If that's you, maybe it's a story you want to leave, because I believe no matter how many of the same trainings are out there, like in my career, I worked with so many real estate investors that would teach very similar things. Let's say wholesale real estate investing, right? Or how to start a website, right? It's the same thing, just a different person with a different unique story. And it's the stories that sell, and it's the experience that help people excel, and all that turns into money. So if you're interested on this journey that I am taking, I don't know if it's going to go, it could go completely bad. I have no idea, but I enjoy the risk and I enjoy the process and I enjoy the excitement behind it. So if you're interested in this, whether you just want to follow along, maybe you're in real estate and you know me from that world, and maybe you want to see a different opportunity or a different business, maybe you do want to learn how to monetize your message and learn how to transform what you know up here and make money from it, then follow along, like or subscribe, and or shoot me a message, whatever you want to do. Leave a message in the comments and say, hey, Nate, I'm here with you. I'm going to follow along. Feel free to do that. But there's going to be a lot of changes. I'm going to show you some of those changes that we're making. It's going to be slow and steady. I'm going to call it the Disney approach, the Walt Disney approach to building and transforming and changing an audience and a brand, which is something I've never done before. I've changed brands and I've changed, different products and brands and, similar audiences, but never completely a different audience. So it'll be something new. And if you want to follow along, that's great. So that's it. I just wanted to give you a summary of this. And if this is interesting to you, let me know in the comments. And then thanks for being here and following along. And I'll see you in the next one.